Readers, here we go on session 19, delving deeper into literary analysis. The work that the authors do is similar to what you do in Writer's Workshop. There are specific goals and techniques used to write a story. In order to do some deeper thinking, you sometimes have to analyze the techniques and the goals of the author. Our goal today is to learn how authors' techniques and goals affect the story. So today we're going to study how an author writes. In order to do that, you need to understand the vocabulary or the language of the discipline that you can use to talk about the techniques that the author uses. We've studied many of these over the past few weeks during the reading and writing units that we are working through. I want to share two charts with you about narrative writers' goals and techniques. So this first chart is called Narrative Writers Aim Towards Goals Such As. Go ahead and pause the video so that you have a chance to really look at some of those things that narrative writers do. Now that you've reviewed the chart, really think about our lesson from yesterday, how we looked back at the first scene from Home of the Brave. We know there that Applegate was trying to create a setting. We know that she chose to put Keck in a snowy place. It really seemed like she was trying to show us how scared and confused Keck was. Maybe she even wanted us to empathize with him so that we could understand or share his feelings. We're going to go ahead and look at the next chart. You probably want to pause your video again so that you could take a good look at this. So here we see again that the author is trying to do some certain things, techniques as a writer. So Applegate uses a lot of description in her writing. She also is doing that for a purpose, right? So let's think about the setting again. When she's talking about the setting, she's saying the swirling snow. So that's really a descriptive detail. We also have places where Keck whispers, "Where is all the world?" And so that's some dialogue that the author is putting in. We also know that Keck kept his eyes shut until the airplane lands on the ground. When you look at that, we can really start to kind of see that Keck, what he's doing, what action he's taking. He's probably scared. He's probably not quite sure what's going to happen in this flying machine that he's in when that airplane touches down. Applegate also chooses to write Home of the Brave as a first-person narrative. So we see that also here in our chart as one of the techniques. By choosing to have Keck tell the story or have it told from Keck's point of view, Applegate is really trying to help us empathize with him. We see the world as he does. Everything that he's seeing, everything that he's describing is helping us as a reader to see things as he would see them. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look back at another passage in Home of the Brave, and we're really going to pick it apart and try to see what the author was trying to do. So this next scene is from the chapter More Bad News. I'm going to read it to you on the next slide. "Listen, buddy," Dave says, "I'm afraid I've got some more news. I heard from Diane. They tracked down the people who made it to their 2 refugee camps that we told you about. Something grabs my throat and tries to steal the air away. None of them was your mom, Keck." I look away. Nearby, a crow flaps his great black wings to chase away a sparrow. Hannah pats my back. "There's still hope, though, right?" she asks. So go ahead and pause the video and really think about, what do you notice? What do you think some of the techniques are that Applegate is trying to do? One of the things you might have noticed is how the author is writing in stanzas. By formatting the text on the page that day, it forces us as the reader to stop and kind of give a pause at each one of those line breaks. Applegate chooses very purposely to hit return or enter and move down to that next line. Okay, she's planning that with her writing so that me as the reader knows how to read it and also where to pause. You might have noticed how she talks about something grabs my throat and steals the air away. So we can really picture Keck like losing his breath. It's truly caught him off guard. That's not what he was expecting to be talking about today. You might also have noticed that the crow has great black wings, right? So it kind of makes me think of a mood, like the author is trying to create a mood by having that big black bird with giant wings. So it's not a happy, carefree mood. It's more like an ominous or a scary type of mood here that the author is trying to do there. Is there anything else from this chart that we also might notice? Some of you guys might think about it setting up a problem. So if we're going back to that text, it's kind of the problem of, Keck's mom has still not been found. There was a lot of hope that Keck's mom would be at one of those refugee camps, maybe just a different location than Keck. But by her not being in 2 of those camps that they talked about, it's more of a problem now for Keck because the chances of his mom being found alive are getting smaller and smaller. So let's look at the chart again. So we've talked about setting up the problem. We've talked about building a mood. Some people might also say it's building some suspense because we can't wait to see what's going to happen with Keck. That's absolutely true. There's probably some empathy there too. You as the reader are feeling sorrier for Keck. You're feeling bad for him. It was one thing to think that his mom might be joining him soon, but now it seems like it's getting further and further from reality. So it's probably stirring some empathy in you as well, as far as feeling sorry for Keck or bad for Keck in this situation that he's in. Before we end our lesson, I just want to add this to our anchor chart. So today we've really studied how an author's goals and techniques are going to play into that story. As you're reading your independent reading book, you really want to pay attention to some of these techniques that your author is using, okay? They definitely help you to understand the story, but even more than that, they're making your story more exciting, or they're making your story more of a book that you're wanting to read and keep turning those pages to find out what's going to happen to your character. I hope you're enjoying your book.